With talk of a COVID vaccine on the horizon, CBS 4 Investigates is taking a closer look at how people will get it.
Yeah, one of the questions CBS 4 investigator Katie Weiss is asking, can your employer force you to get a COVID vaccine?
It's the hopeful news many have been waiting for. A COVID vaccine could be available soon. Already, some companies like Ticketmaster are considering requiring concertgoers be vaccinated. And the Tokyo Olympics Committee says it too is looking to have athletes and spectators vaccinated. But can an employer force you to get a COVID vaccine? CU Boulder law professor Ahmed White says yes, with some exceptions.
I would be surprised if there isn't a push by employers to require vaccinations. I would also be surprised if that happened without a great deal of pushback.
An employee could refuse a vaccine for religious or medical reasons, but must be ready to fight in court. An employee could also be exempt if it goes against their contract or union agreement.
Given the scale of the pandemic and given the severity, my sense is that we might see a great deal of this going forward as vaccinations become more readily available.
In 2012, Colorado passed legislation requiring all hospital workers in the state to get a flu shot.
It underscores, I think, precedents that already exist, that governments have a great deal of leeway in requiring vaccinations.
That mandate was met with some resistance.
To me, it's against your civil rights.
But the Colorado Hospital Association supported the move at the time.
The last thing we want is to have a healthcare worker end up transmitting the flu.
But now the CHA doesn't support a COVID vaccine requirement.
We view this vaccine and certainly this illness as being in a very different place. And so our position is that it should be voluntary.
Even though COVID is more deadly than the flu, Julie Lonborg with CHA says it's the unknowns about the COVID vaccine that keeps her from supporting a mandate.
One of the notable differences is the flu vaccine and knowledge of its efficacy. It is generally effective and successful. And we know a lot more about how people are going to react physically to the vaccine.
White says once those unknowns become clearer, there is a legal path for businesses and government agencies alike to require vaccinations.
Certainly there's existing precedent for governments to be fairly proactive and fairly aggressive in compelling citizens to receive vaccinations, or for that matter, allowing private employers to do so.
I'm told the state of Colorado is not considering a COVID vaccine mandate at this time, but officials are excited about the vaccine becoming a viable tool to help combat the pandemic. I'm Katie Weiss, covering Colorado First.